platform? Fantastic. So it goes onto a portal that we have that is a repository for all the sessions we've had in the past. I'll be telling you more about that if you're unclear on that, but there's over 60 videos there from past Thursday sessions like this, where you can just scroll through and see what you need and pick what you need and hope that it will benefit your business as well. As we go, we have the chat section where you can put your comment in or your contacts, whatever you'd like to share. And then on the Q&A, we have where you put your questions and we'll be responding to those. If you have any question at any point in time, I know those were already coming through regarding COP or regarding the session we're having, go ahead, put it in the chat so that we can get a response when the time comes. But otherwise, I'd like to ask you, please also be respectful of others as you use that. Okay, some digital courtesy will be very welcome. Now, the video has just started. If you're catching this much later on, I'm turning my attention to you. Welcome. We're glad we recorded this because we knew you were going to be here. So this is session 2 about powering SMEs with technology. And we termed it Digital Dynamo, powering SMEs with technology. We have Fred Kidezi, who is with us the second time. Last time was more of the principles, and we're going to do a bit of a recap with that. But this time we're going to have live coaching sessions. And after 1 or 2 or 3 live coaching sessions, I'm going to turn it to the house where we get some Q&A, get to respond to you. You may be trying some things with technology, may not be working the way you see it should. You can ask your question. Fred is your coach for the day. He is the founder and the CEO, and I like how he says chief cheerleader of Belva Digital, which is doing amazing things. It's a tech company, marketing tech company that has been here for 10 years, and you'll hear a bit more about that later. But without any further ado, I did want to walk through the agenda, and then we'll walk through a few other things and quickly get to our session. So we're going to have a quick connect, and I'm curious what your responses are going to be, but I won't give it away too quickly. Then we'll have a welcome note from Peter, who is on the side of COP, who is one of the people that is behind the scenes making sure that this session happens. Then we'll get into our live coaching session with our guest speaker, and then followed by a Q&A there. And then we'll wrap it up. So an hour and a half flies really quickly. But like someone said in the chat, we're going to be learning, unlearning, and relearning some really good things about our businesses and what we can do to move forward. All right. So my question for the quick connect is this. We know that leaders are readers typically, because we are always learning. There's always an opportunity to learn something. We're always seeking knowledge, trying to see how did other people do it. We know humbly enough that we are not the first to do what we are doing. But at the same time, we want to learn. So what are you learning? What book are you reading? Typically, we learn through books. What book are you reading right now? And what are you liking about it? So 2 questions. What book are you reading? Put the book title on the person who wrote it, and what are you liking about it? Okay, put that in the chat, and let's see what submissions we can come up with. Very keen to see. I'll give you a moment to reflect. Fiona, I need you to tell us what you're liking about it. So Fiona says Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. Is that Tolle or Tolle? I'm not sure. What are you liking about it? If you can put it in one, just type it all out together. Let's see. I know you're typing, so I'm giving you a minute or so to do that. Let me see, who will cry when I die? Fiona says the power of now is a good reminder to be in the present moment. Peter Okoth says how to get rich. Nice, I like it. But what are you learning? What are you liking about it? Evelyn says, Poor Dad, Rich Dad. I believe that is Robert Kiyosaki. Yes. Very good book, I believe, yes. Also the quadrants and all, I see. Blue Ocean Strategies. I love that. Godwin Okondi, thank you very much. Frederick Weir, the Book of Matthew. The Book of Matthew. I'm not laughing. I just didn't expect to find the apologize. Book of Matthew. What are we learning? I guess sacrifices. Okay. Vitalis, I've just come in. It's a book about it. Oh, well, no. So Vitalis, what we are asking is we are all reading something or learning something. So I thought to ask, what book are you reading? And what are you learning? What are you liking? So that's what we are seeing. Also, this is going to be doubling as your opportunity to pick up some ideas for book reads for this year. As you go, you can say, "Oh, let me pick up something here. I think it could be useful. I saw this in the webinar, and it could be useful." Everything you probably don't know about marketing. That's a nice, interesting title. Dennis, The Rise of the Warrior. Let me read a few more. Terry and Jaggi says, Culture and Organizations by Gert and Gert. Power of Cultures in Family, State, and Organizations. Oh, sounds serious. The Diary of a CEO, Stephen Bartlett. Susan Owino, Early Bird by Beth. Success of a Pioneer Woman, Women Leading in this country. Thank you. Kennedy says 80-20 Principle by Richard Koch. The book gives great secrets of highly effective people and organizations. Think and Grow Rich, The Charismatic Wade, The Enemy is the Inner Me. Interesting. Thank you, Michael. The Intelligent Investor. I'm going to take just a few more seconds on this so we can get these book recommendations. If you're using like a laptop or something, you just copy the whole section and put it in the chat just so you can review it later. Mr. Liz is reading A Purpose-Driven Life by Rick Warren. Very good. Let me see. Esther Maina, The Purpose and Power of Authority. James Masharia, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Stephen and Franklin Covey, I believe. Business Development. Jacinta. So I'm reading Atomic Habits. It's a Great Changes by James Clear. I like how he simplifies the approach of it can seem difficult, but if you break it down, you can just tie it to something small that you can do. What can you do today instead of thinking about something that's too big? And how do you don't get too married to goals, get married to building habits. Okay. All right. So I'm not going to finish reading all of them because there's quite a bit of recommendations here. And for everyone who's going to come up, I guess today I'm going to be asking you, what's the book that you're reading and what are you learning? All right. Well, thanks. Thanks for that. Thanks for all these book recommendations. Good to see that we're all growing and learning. Now, without any further ado, I want to welcome Peter Dumia, Head of Non-Financial Services, to welcome those who are here for the very first time, but also to just remind us why is this session every Thursday, 11 to 12:30. Why is this so important to CoBank? Please, a round of applause. Welcome, Peter. And Peter, of course, I'm going to go with the first question. What book are you reading? What are you learning? What are you liking? And then you can share with us. Peter?
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Sam. Confirm that you're able to hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, sir.
Great. Apologies. I might be having some network issues. Allow me not to put on the camera today.
No problem.
All right. And good morning to everybody. I think some like the discussion. I like the way you've started the session today. You're asking us, what are we reading? And I think one of the things that I'm keen to learn, I'm learning is on marketing. There's a good writer, Seth Godin. He's saying everything you probably don't know about marketing. I think it's a good piece that you can even listen on YouTube. Everything you probably don't know about marketing. And I think it is great. It's coming to share a bit of how to build brands and how to make logos and coming up with a really good brand for your business. So, Sam, I want to welcome the participants. Allow me to take this opportunity to really appreciate everybody who is in this session. Again, CoBank MSME webinar session that happens every Thursday from 11 to 12:30. Great to see a good number of us who already joined. We are more than 130 in this session. I see a number who are joining for the first time. I'll be interested to find who is joining for the first time. If you're joining for the first time, please just type 1. I want to acknowledge your presence. If you're joining the session for the first time, just go ahead. Great. RK, I see you. This is Richard. Welcome, Ian Wanyonyi. Welcome, Ruth Wajiro. Welcome. Who is this? Mulo Fredina, karibu sana. Paul Maku, welcome. Jacob Onditi, Ben Salash. They are great people here. Michael Okere, Francis Buva, Benedict Wabua, Francis Kaguru, Oscar Waswa, I see quite a number of us, Kevin Kihara and many, many others that are joining for the first time. Team, let's just appreciate them. Let's acknowledge them with our emojis, our claps, and welcoming them in this session. We are glad to see all of you who are joining us. Yes, we see all of you, and we really, really appreciate your time and your presence in this session. Yes, the participants and the usual attendees are acknowledging your presence. This is a community that we have that learn every Thursday. And then someone will be asking, why do we do this? As a bank, we have come to appreciate the needs that you have as business people, the MSMEs, and one of the things we know is that you require some financial solutions and the non-financial solutions. And when you're talking about the financial needs that you have, we know that you need to transact, and we have some solutions for you. We know you want to make payments and also to collect money from your customers, and we have solutions again that support you on that. And those solutions are digital that helps you on this. The other thing that we understand is that you require to access some financing, you require some loans, you require some cash flows. We have those solutions. Now, over and above those solutions, you have a learning need. You require to learn, you need to acquire new skills and tips. And that is why CoBank have organized this program we call the Non-Financial Services, where MSME webinars are part of this. And why do we do this? It's because we know we want to reach out to so many of you and just engage with you and give you tips so that then your businesses will continue to grow from one level to the other. And this is in addition to other events that we have right now. I'm on my way to Karatina. We had several forums across the country. We just did an event yesterday in Meru, where we had entrepreneurs in that region coming together to learn. It's what we call the networking forums for MSMEs. We also have other physical meetings. We have business clinics. We have international business trips. And we have these online engagements that we have every Thursday. So I think for me, it's really to welcome all of you, for those who've been there and those who are joining for the first time. Karibuni sana. Today we are going to have an exciting session on digital Dynamo, how to power your operations and your marketing with technology. And I think Fred Kipinzi, who have been in this session before, will be able to take us through practical sessions, and you'll be hearing from him and from other participants and other people who've been able to implement some of the things that we shared in the last session. So Sam, allow me to stop at this point and hand over the meeting back to you so that we can continue. Asante sana.
Thank you very much. Please let's appreciate Peter. I know Peter, yes, is away on a session that is supposed to be in live session, so he has to travel and still be in this one. And I know he could delegate, but he just loves to be in this environment, and just to make sure that everyone feels welcome. And we want to say, we thank you, Peter. Your sacrifices do not go unnoticed, and we appreciate your passion to see the entrepreneur move forward, especially with CoBank. All right, so Peter has spoken about why we do this as CoBank. I want to come back to very quickly touch on this collaboration. So it's CoBank and AMI. So let me let you know a little bit about AMI, and then we'll get into today's session. So AMI is all about practical management and workplace training, power your growth. We believe you have a dream, you know where you want to go, but we also know if it's a dream worth chasing, then you need a team. And sometimes the question is, does the team that I have what it needs to move forward, to move this dream into reality? And that's where we come in. So we offer that support with virtual and customized management training and workplace learning. We use the virtual programs and we love to use those digital tools so we can enable you to move forward. It's Pan-African, so we have impact across quite a number of countries, so 39 countries across the continent, and about 42,000 people trained since 2014, which is 10 years ago. So we're super excited about that. That's why we share that excitement. We have our country office, our head office is in Nairobi, Kenya, And then we have regional offices in a few places, Kigali, Johannesburg, and other countries represented. So where you see green is where we managed to have our impact, and we're super excited about that. But why are we doing this collaboration and how does this work out? Let me walk you through a bit of that. So over the last couple of weeks, we decided to put a bit of like a curriculum and say, okay, so these things go together. Let's get guests that can help us walk through these ideas and these concepts. So we started with crafting your business vision. What does that look like? Are you clear on the vision? Are you clear on where you want to go? The next thing then we moved to was, okay, so if I'm clear on the vision, what's my identity as a business? How do you tell a compelling brand story about your identity, you know? And then from there, previous to this, we were looking at how do we connect with the customer? How do you make sure that you're creating relationships that last and help you how do you get to understand the target audience, your customer persona, how to serve your customer in a better way than most would be able to? And that's how you get your competitive advantage, and that's how you create that loyalty, right? Now, from there, we focused on, which is where we are, on empowering SMEs with technology. What's the role of technology? How can we use technology? How can technology serve us to streamline our business operations? How do we explore digital marketing strategies and online sales channels? For each of these, now the joy of this particular year, we decided to flip things up a bit and say, okay, let's say the first session for each of these has been 2 sessions. The first session is a bit exploring principles and ideas and concepts and kind of wrestling with those. But then out of that, we say, okay, let's have a practical session. In the practical sessions where we have our coach, our guest, our speaker come back and just walk us through practically. So we have some people here who get to share about their business practically, what are they doing, what are they trying, and you get some responses from our coaches, our guests, our speakers. Today is going to be no different, and it's exciting because the practical ones are really exciting because people ask real issues they are going through or opportunities they are trying to maximize, what's not working, what's working, that kind of thing, and we get to learn from each other. Again, like someone said, we get to learn, get to relearn, and we get to unlearn as well. So next, after this, starting next week, we'll be looking at operations, and how do you maximize that? How do you build excellence around that? And then getting into this idea of change. Change is the only thing that's constant. How do you navigate change in the marketplace, right? So that's where we are. And without any further ado, let me just walk you through how it works. So we have these learning labs or learning sessions or webinars, these weekly webinars. We share the link with you. It's provided. The video is uploaded onto a portal where there's over 60 videos plus online resources courtesy of CoBank, which is what we call the MSME portal. And we also like to create the in-person networking sessions. This is where Peter is at one of those. Okay, so, and those may be in a place near you, so we'll be finding out very soon. So that's how this works. And if you're here for the very first time, yes, I want to say a huge welcome to you. If you're here you've been here many times, a big applause to you. Please, if you've been here many times, please give yourself a round of applause. Let me see those claps going. Let me see those claps going. Thank you for being here for so many times. I'm starting to feel like there's a bit of family here because I come on and I know many of the names here, and it's exciting. Now we have over like 100, close to 150 plus, and also many who watch later on. So this is exciting. So thank you for that. Okay, so without any further ado, let's jump into today's session. We have Fred Kivinzi. He was here last time. He's the founder and chief cheerleader, Belva Digital. Belva is doing quite a number of things, and he liked to simplify it as it's a marketing technology company. Okay, and they do quite a bit of things. They do things that are referred to as experiential marketing. They have presence in quite a number of countries across Africa. And I'm curious to start with the question, though, of what we did as same as we did for everyone here. What is the book that you're reading? So he's a leader. He's always driving. There's Belva Digital and a few other versions of Belva, but there's also Belva Group, where he's sitting as the key leader there as well. With a role like that, Fred, I imagine that you need a lot in terms of leadership. And of course, you have the capacity, but I know you're always increasing your capacity. So as soon as he comes on, Fred is going to tell us what book is he reading now and what is he learning from it on his journey of leadership. Ladies and gentlemen, help me to welcome founder, chief cheerleader, Belva Digital, Fred Kivinzi. Round of applause, please. Round of applause. Otherwise, our guest is not coming on. There you are.
should have held back a bit behind the
Yes,
curtain.
you hold back like for like, Okay, tell me, Fred. Let's jump into it. What book are you reading? Well, I should be disciplined. How are you doing, sir?
Hey Sam, good morning. Glad to be back again here. I'm doing very well. Staying afloat literally in this Nairobi. I hope everyone is. Yeah, so looking forward to this second and follow-up conversation and trying to make it as practical as possible.
Yeah.
So you asked what book I'm reading, right?
Yeah, what book are you reading? And tell me why. Well, for you, we'll make it harder. What book are you reading? Why are you reading that book and what are you learning?
3 questions, no more matatu. So
Yeah.
So I'm reading Netflix No Rules Rule. It's about creating a culture of reinvention in the workplace. I've become a slow reader over the years, not as fast as I'd like. I used to read Harry Potter when I was younger, many years ago, and I would read it in 2-3 days. Now, you take notes and make copies and so on, because it's really an insightful book. And where I'm coming from is today we are marking 11th. So today is actually our 11th year in business. So celebrating.
Congratulations, man.
Thank you, Sam. And as you grow, you understand the value of culture, because ultimately every business is driven by people. Whether it's a barber shop or it's the most tech-forward company, people are the center and the heart of your business, and culture then becomes how really gels people together. Whether they choose to work together or they choose to politic in the workplace, the culture really is what it brings the team together, makes the dream work, as we say. And the book delves into where Reed Hastings, the founder of Netflix, where he started from renting out DVDs to eventually starting on Netflix, because then he saw the transition of consumers spending more time online, and how Netflix has grown to be what the mammoth it is today, with millions of subscribers. I know we pay, for a lot of us who subscribe to Netflix, we pay 1,000 shilling, roughly $10. We don't think too much about it, but if you think of the million subscribers on the platform paying $10 a month, then you get to see the scale. And the beauty is you pay in advance, yeah? So no collection, no problem with collections.
There's a system that's ready to cut you off as soon as you default.
Right. And then you think of the thousands of employees they have, and then how the pieces are moving together without him being in every meeting or in every facet of it, or having to sign everything or approve everything. And it talks about, so the idea of the no rules rule is that human beings, we like freedom. We're always in pursuit of spaces where we're free to create, free to grow, free to do things. And unfortunately, in our workplace, sometimes we end up imposing policies and rules that end up then impeding that freedom for people to be creative and people to do their job. And sometimes as managers, we hire people but then we don't give them the freedom and don't give them the space to do their job. So we end up being in their every space, you hire someone, but then you're still doing their job. And that way, then you cannot scale, because then everything has to go through you. And they say some things, for example, Netflix has no policy for vacation or holidays. If you want to go and leave, go and leave. If you want to, but then the context is you can't just wake up and go and leave. So wherever you make sure you hand over to someone, make sure that the person has context enough for them to take over the work you're doing. So it creates a lot of responsibility, with freedom and responsibility, where you're free to do your work, your boss trusts you, but then there's a responsibility in case you don't, follow that freedom, or you don't adhere to that freedom. So if you wake up and go and leave, Netflix will just fire you, because you went on leave and you didn't really have a clear way of letting somebody else pick up the work. And they make sure that people rely on each other, become teammates, and if I have a sick child, I can call in Sam and say, Sam, sorry, man, can you step in the meetings and take over? If I want to approve a campaign, the marketing manager doesn't need to speak to anyone. As long as they've ticked boxes, this campaign speaks to our audience, this is a budget, this is a return on investment, just go to market. You don't have to talk. The Reed Hastings doesn't know what happens in Kenya. Now he's the chairman of Netflix. But he doesn't know, really about Kenyan consumer, but there's somebody who's trusted to understand the East African market. So somebody will approve a Kenyan movie to go on Netflix, will approve some people to be hired in the Kenyan office. And that way you build a global team quickly without, I guess, the friction that comes with growth. It's a very insightful book. I think there are a couple of online versions. I personally prefer to read the physical copies and flip the pages. I'm enjoying it. We're trying to implement it in the workplace as well.
I was going to ask you, what are you thinking? What are you reconsidering about Belva? From Netflix? Netflix is, as far as I read, is across 190 countries, I think. It's presence in 190. And I know that you're dreaming big for Belva. What are you trying to pick that you can transport into?
I think the first thing we've done is you can work from anywhere policy. So we used to do 3 days in the office, 2 days at home. About last year,
you can't.
Last year, October, we tell everyone you can work from anywhere. So if you feel like working from cafe, from the office, we still have a physical office with capacity to hold. But for culture, every month we bring them on together. So tomorrow, because we've marked 11th anniversary today, tomorrow everyone will be in the office and we'll spend a bit of time also gelling, because humans, we like to see each other, we like to spend time together. And see the floods we had, especially yesterday, telling someone in Athi River, you must be in the office for work to happen. We're in the creative economy. So for us, we encourage people to create at their own space. And we focus on the outcome. So we don't focus on you showing up at 8 a.m. and leaving at 5. We focus on, this is the task assigned to you. Did you finish it? And the quality good. So the reviews we're having nowadays are more on the value you bring into the business, and commensurately, then we can pay the same amount, for your services. And our retention has really grown. For our key talent, we've not lost anyone since we implemented that. So we had a lot of competition for talent, and small things, you'll be impressed. I think we've heard about Gen Zs and the younger generation wanting freedom to participate, or wanting freedom to do their thing without you being all over them or micromanaging them. And to be honest, we're seeing fruits of that.
Just ask me for your results, I'll send them and we're good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Well, at the moment you said the policy about you can work from anywhere, there were a few claps that came up from the audience today. I think you may be receiving some application forms.
And it saves even from a cost commercially, actually, because we have currently outgrown our office space. So if we were insisting that people had to come to the office every day, we would be forced to be looking for new office space and a new, for everyone to have a desk and space to sit. And again, because we want to be in multiple countries, you do not want to carry that operational cost of having offices in every country. I'm not waking up a Uganda team in the office. My question is, the Uganda team doing the job that we've given by the client, So, or the team in Ethiopia, wherever it is, while they are. I think once you focus on what is really the important thing you want in business, then from the leadership to force it down to the team, and then, we can create a culture of intervention, because luckily our business, unlike Peter, doesn't require us, unless you're a branch manager, to be in the office. So that helps us to be flexible.
Fantastic. But I mean, we also see that happening. I'm sure you and I growing up, banking was very different. You had to go and line up and queue up, and now everything becoming more and more digital. Banks are scrapping their branches, and it's just like a few. And so I imagine what 10 years, 5 years from now, it could all be digital, and we could all just be interacting. You don't need to say, go to your branch manager. It's just like call your branch manager, whatever it is. So anyways, I'm really glad to see, I think you really embody this idea of innovation. There's something, so I'm going to take the next few minutes to attempt to it's so difficult to recap anything you've done, because it's all in depth, and you and the Belva team put it together so well. But what I decided to do was go with snapshots of a few slides that you shared last week for the context of those who were not here. In the spirit of innovation, there's I really liked this slide of yours. Okay, you said the electric light did not come from continuous improvement of candles. For the person who is just coming in for the first time and seeing this, could you take 1 minute and just break this down a little bit?
The reality is human beings, we don't like change. But also the reality is change is a constant. We like comfort. We like to get into a routine and then where you say your customers always come into your shop and spending X and buying Y, and you then from that revenue you plan your business and your personal life. But the reality is change is always happening, and the customer that used to walk to your branch, as you said earlier, is no longer walking to your branch. They want to go to an app. And if the app is not working, they are willing to leave you because the competitor bank has an app that works, or online banking that I can log in now and approve a payment. So because of that, then we have to continuously fall in love with change, or just appreciate the comfortness of change, and then seek reinvention. And appreciating that change leads to better. That we started from candles, but somebody sat down and did not study the candle to figure out the electric light, but they actually went on a different tangent and to a different journey, and reinvented the electric light, which then changed the world. Because ultimately, I think we all have the passion to leave the world a better place than we found it. So that continuous improvement is something we must seek to ourselves, and to reinvent the things that we do. So just looking at what we're doing and what potentially needs to be changed in the businesses. And we'll touch more about it as well as we go through the template.
Very good. And then the other two things, I like that idea. We don't need bigger candles. What we need is light. So let's find ways of hitting light, right? The other ones that I'll peruse through quickly is for those who are not here, or for those who are here as well, Fred shared some stats here. So this is data. So technology helps us to get data. This is from January this year. If you want to find out what's the use of digital devices like, and we're talking digital, so total population, many years ago it was way lower. Now we have 55 million total population, and cellular, we have 66 million people. What does that mean for your business? Again, to think through. Individuals using the internet are 22 million. Social media identities are there, 13 million. What does that mean for your business? The other thing to consider is the question, what are Kenyans spending on? And it's useful to know, because you want to find out, is there a piece of the pie? Is there something I can optimize, maximize? How do I use this data to make decisions that can help me? And that's the whole conversation that we're having. And then lastly here was the question of, when people are looking for information, what are the main channels for online brand research? And I think he challenged us, like, if you put your name in the Google search engine or whatever search engine you use for, if you put your brand in, if you search for what you're doing, does your brand come up quickly? And how do you optimize that? Because that's the faster it comes up, the more quickly you're in people's faces, and that's how you can maximize and be able to offer the product or service that you're offering. So we found that social networks big, social search engines are big, consumer reviews are big, and then the breakdown goes on. Again, it's a question of technology helps us with information. How do we use that information to make better decisions to run our businesses? And that's the whole intersection between using technology for our businesses. So there's a lot more that he covered. Let me just stop sharing here. And at the end of our time together, Belva and of course Fred were kind enough to share with us a tool to make this really practical. And I want us to walk through that tool and then see what some of our friends did. And then he'll give us some feedback, just to show you a little bit of what the tool looks like. It's extremely practical. If you did not receive it, I guess we can resend this. It's a small business, 1 page, no complications, 1 page marketing strategy. And the requirements are for you to do a bit of work to answer the questions around what's your market research like? What are your profiles like when it comes to your customers? How do you typically convince your customers to switch to you? 4, what's their buying behavior? What are you doing for advertising? What kind of tactics are you trying? How are you optimizing digital and social media? How are you building credibility towards loyalty? And those are some of the questions you want to consider. So 8 questions, all on 1 page. Now, what we have today is we asked you to do the work. And today what we want to see is some of us are going to be sharing the results of that work, and we'll get some feedback from Fred. We'll take one or two, and then others of us will, chime in with questions you may have regarding the same. Now, the challenge is, the one challenge we've had today is, I'm just double checking. Yes, the challenge remains, but we shall work through it. Those who are supposed to be here to share, they sent in their work, but they're unable to be here for different reasons. So what we're going to do is we'll share the results of their work, and we'll still get some comments from Fred. Now, Fred had the opportunity to look through some of this work before and see the detail with it. I'm going to start with Ted Daniel's work. It's quite detailed, and I think it's a good example to start with because you can tell he put in the time. So I will do my best to represent his thought process, even in his absentia, and then at the end we'll get some feedback from Fred. All right, please let me see. Sorry, go ahead. Is that okay?
If you may interrupt, I think I've seen a comment or two that they haven't received this. So perhaps I can just walk through again the template. And you can play the TED role if you don't mind. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Right. And thanks for presenting a screen, Sam. The idea behind this was to help us think through our businesses, whatever stage we are in, I think, because what we've appreciated is we are constantly reviewing our strategies, our approach, our products and services. And this one page helps you or puts you in a place where you sort of have to answer questions that then allows you to then think through the business. And then out of it, you can craft a strategy that you can implement going forward. The first question is to first understand market, what the market is, what the field you're playing in. We are all in different spaces, right? So we have different manufacturing, retail, import, export, whatnot. So there are different categories of businesses in. It's important, obviously, to look at the space you are and who else is in that space. I think earlier I liked that somebody who mentioned that I believe Godwin, who said is reading the Blue Ocean strategy book. And it's an excellent way of, when it comes to understanding market and where you position your business and product. And to give you the context, the book talks about, there are two things. There's the red ocean and the blue ocean. The red ocean is full of people's, cutthroat competition. So there's a lot of blood. Everyone is coming for you. So it's very highly competitive. And on the blue ocean is that uncontested space where you're not competing, you're barely competing with anyone. But then for you to get the blue ocean, you have to reinvent a lot of things. And allow me to talk about perhaps that a bit more in detail. So for you then to define your blue ocean is you have to seek to create new value, or what we call value innovation. And for you to achieve value innovation is you have to see where are you playing versus everyone else, and then ask yourself, how do I then get into a space where my competition is not in? I think we've typically seen historically there's a point where the telcos were going head on price wars. And everyone was going down by a shilling, by 2 shilling every other day. And the biggest telco said, one day said, we're not playing that price war. So if you want to move, it's fine. As a customer, it's okay. You can move to competitor. But as a telco, as Safaricom, we're offering you more than just calling. We're offering you, better quality in terms of calling. We're offering you M-Pesa, there's data. And because of that value innovation, we still see that telco having majority of customers. But at the end of the day, the customer is not just sensitive to price, they're sensitive to quality. So in some sense, because of that value innovation, by creating new other aspects beyond just calling, we're seeing that telco still commanding the market as much as they may have lost a share of the voice business. We've also seen the same when it comes to Uber and, Kamau, the taxi, where Uber came in and said, you the customer, as opposed to launching a new taxi business and buying hundreds of vehicles and putting them on the road, I'm actually going to create a marketplace where I connect you with the car and the person needing a taxi via an app, and they take my commission. That way, I don't need to own any car. And basically, mine is more of a tech business, and they connect the customer with what they need. So that's really blue ocean, because then you've re-engineered what taxi is. You've gone away from, say, trying to deliver the same service, historically how it's been done. You've seen the same with Airbnbs versus hotels. You've seen the same with, Netflix. We spoke earlier about Netflix versus, DVDs. For a cost of $10, you can watch endless movies. Back in the day when you wanted to watch a movie, you go to a guy who burns a CD for 100 bob, 10 movies, 20 movies, the cost really was scaling. So that's really now looking at value innovation. And how do you achieve value innovation is you look at two things. Is if you look at all those examples I've shared, is one thing they're always doing is you're saving the cost of entry. You're reducing the cost of entry as a business. So you're saying as Netflix, I don't have to set up a studio every other country or every other corner for you to get access to a DVD. I'm going to deliver this content over the internet. So I'm cutting that cost. Secondly, then you're able to do the multiplier effect where you're saying, I'm able to lower the cost of entry for the customer, but then I can do millions of users. I'm saying it costs you $10 to get my content, but then I can onboard as many millions of customers without the friction of having a physical shop and so on. We've seen the same thing with M-Pesa, where it says I can send money from one person to another without having to visit any physical branch or physical spaces. So that's the one aspect of looking at it. Save the cost of entry, then increase the value the customer is willing to pay. Then you can see how to reinvent. I think last week we spoke about distribution. So if your competitors are only distributing physically in store, is there a way e-commerce can be a new value innovation for you and allow you to create a blue ocean, can be the first one to deliver some certain goods and products via online and so on. I think for my market research, that's what we're trying to see. Where are you paying and what makes you think the business will succeed? Then we go to the target customer. For the target customer, look at it demographically. So what's the age of the customer? Where the location? Where do they work? Your typical customer. And because most of us are already selling, we already have a good rough idea of what our ideal customer. Is it a woman? Is it a man? What age bracket are they? Where do they live in this country? Are they urban? Are they rural? Are they peri-urban? I'll give you a good sense of that. A good sense of that. And then number three is the only player in the space. So what is the unique selling proposition to then get customers to come to me? Even if you have 10 M-Pesa shops in one street, what is making you better? Do you have better float than the other guy? Are you open longer hours? Do you have this better customer experience that you're offering? So in that case, then yes, you're offering the same thing in content in quotes, but then for you, you're going a bit extra to do better. I think to give some example in retail, we've seen when QuickMart got into the space retail, they introduced this what they call basis shops, which are closer to our real estates, to our homes, and most of them tend to run 24/7. So that way then they're saying, you can access us faster because we are in your estate. But also any time of the day you want to shop or buy your milk on your way home, you can pass by and we'll be still open. So that allows you, then you're still competing with other retailers, but you're doing a bit more. And then you also say, I can deliver online. If you call this number, you go to an e-commerce store. So you have to think of then what really is a differentiator. And it's a hard question. If you crack it, then it really helps you. If you don't, then you start thinking of what can make me then different. Number four is customer buying behavior. Customers have different behavior patterns. So you find for some businesses, they have higher sales in the beginning of the month and end of the month, typical to the cycle of people salaries. So you get paid, people will shop more, supermarkets, do your home shopping. If you're in the car insurance business, you only buy car insurance once a year. So the next probably cycle is to talk to you a month to the expiry of it. So you understand that pattern and behavior so that then you know how to invest your marketing, your customer experience, your advertising, which brings us to the fifth question of what tactics are you using to reach out there? I think you've heard of the saying that, without marketing, you really are a pretty girl, but in a corner that nobody is seeing. So you have to put yourself out there. That's a reality of our spaces because, again, remember, you're competing. The customer attention is very fragmented. So if I'm not seeing you as often as I need to, will buy from the guy I'm seeing because sometimes the differentiation is how your visibility and the brand equity you're having. So look at what channels you're using. They could be paid, they could be organic, could be even word of mouth that still counts as a channel. And number 6, I think we saw the recap earlier in terms of media, is where digital is growing and projection to hit 70-80% of where we spend our time in the next 5 years or so. So are you investing in that channel? Social media is growing. There are new channels like TikTok, where we're seeing people have marketplaces for selling products, and you can talk through your product in a short video format. We're seeing Instagram, again, that's really relevant to your market research. So your market research will guide the channel that you need to spend on, whether it's Facebook or TikTok or even SMS as a channel and others. And then number 7 is building credibility, because that really is what keeps the brand for longer, because the more you're as strong as your credibility. So if you deliver what the customers asked for, then you're building word of mouth, and word of mouth is most powerful. Word of mouth has evolved from me calling Sam to say this is a nice phone, to me tweeting, bought a great phone from this shop. I bought a great hat from this shop, bought a kitenge here. These guys took me on holiday and the experience was fantastic. So that's credibility. So encourage your customers to share a lot of your story, because then that generates your credibility, increases your reviews. We spoke about reviews, that today when anyone Googles you, they go on Google Maps, they check, oh, how many reviews did this person have? Are they good or bad? If it's a restaurant and I'm seeing people are complaining, then obviously you're losing customers. So build credibility by delivering on the experience that you promised. That drives customer loyalty, and that drives retention, that drives referral, and that drives revenue. Which is what most of us obviously are in pursuit of. So I believe with that context, we all are on the same page. I think Sam, we could go into what Ted had put in, then we can interrogate. I would encourage, because today's session is ideally very practical. We could take the questions as we go, as we look into one question or the other. Yeah.
We could do, you can advise also, so I guess we can start. There's quite a bit of research that he did, which is amazing. So maybe let's maybe use his case as a case study, market research. What does that give you? What kind of comments do you have around that? Then we move piece by piece. Would that be okay?
Yes, that's okay with me, Sam.
Okay, good. So when it comes to the business, the market research side, I'll just walk through that. As an IT firm, so they've conducted extensive market research to ascertain the demand for services and factors contributing to the company's success. They found those to be summarized as: 1, there's availability. This is market research. 1, there's availability of internet connection and data usage. So understanding the patterns of internet usage and data consumption is crucial, as many IT operations rely heavily on internet connectivity, and they are gauging people's data usage habits. They can effectively target specific clientele segments. 2, they're looking at the types of devices used for internet access, and their research indicates that individuals utilizing smartphones and tablets are more inclined to browse the internet and access information compared to those with feature phones. And that insight allows them to tailor their services to companies targeting users for such devices. 3 is location. Around market research, majority of their target clientele are located in urban centers due to the prevalence of IT infrastructure and familiarity with technology. Convincing rural residents to embrace online business operations can be challenging, especially when their customer base lacks digital literacy. So it makes sense location-wise for them to be in urban centers. 4 is company size. The size of the company is a significant factor in securing long-term clients. Establishing business relationships with established entities like Cobank offers great stability compared to startups with uncertain futures. And then, so these research findings serve as the foundation for their client targeting strategies, focusing primarily on the described demographics. Would you like to make a comment on that, or should we move to the next thing?
Yeah, we can. So Ted did a great job at broken down into 4 points. He's looking at patterns. He's looking at the size, location, and the size. Those are important, because then it helps you really understand who then you need to go for. He clearly looks like he's providing. I think what missing out here is what exactly he's providing. Obviously, IT is quite wide, but it looks like he supplies devices and I presume software to companies that require, tablets and phones, and I believe laptops for use, is geared towards MSMEs, more structured businesses as opposed to startups because of uncertainty. And so in that case, I would imagine his price point is a bit higher and might be in a situation where he needs to bid for tenders to then be able to get some of these jobs. It's quite detailed. I like that approach. I think we can go to the profile as well.
So profiles of target customers based on the research findings we've just looked at. I think it's LA. I'll say L for now, but it will be LA. So L information and communication technologies. Their main customer types can be outlined as one is urban-based enterprises. So this is a B2B situation. These are businesses located in urban centers with access to robust IT and technology know-how. They are more likely to require IT services and solutions for their operations. Two are smartphone and tablet users, like you mentioned before. So, customers predominantly using smartphones and tablets for internet browsing. So targeting companies that cater to those device users can be advantageous. Three is medium to large-sized companies. So enterprises of significant size, such as Cobank. I see what he's doing here. Cobank, which offers long-term clientele opportunities. These companies have established operations and are more likely to require their ongoing IT support, which is what they offer. And then four, internet-dependent businesses. So businesses that heavily rely on internet connectivity for operations, such as e-commerce ventures, online service providers. Those entities are prime targets for IT solutions and, as guess, prime customers or potential customers. By focusing on these customer types, L information and communication technologies can tailor its marketing and service offerings to effectively meet the needs of that clientele.
Great. Yes, I think it's a well detailed as well. The only, I think, further Ted would do is to go into the specifics of who is the decision maker in these organizations. If it's a large corporate, the procurement office, the people in the finance space tend to be the decision makers on who to onboard. If it's an SME, the CEO or the finance person manager would be heavily in that decision. So, and then trying to build where is that person then spending time. So if you're speaking to a CEO of a corporate, are they in certain events? Are they reading the Business Daily online? Are they on LinkedIn? Are they on Twitter? Then, curating content for those. So that guides what you do down there on number 5 in terms of advertising, marketing activities. So just getting a bit more granular into who the key decision makers are. If you're B2C, you're selling, say, phones, but to consumers directly, then you want to then specify, say, this is a working class guy. He's on, because your phones say are more than 80,000 shillings. So certainly that's not your first smartphone. So this is your second or third smartphone. They earn X amount. So if you're buying a phone worth 80,000, you certainly don't earn less than that. You probably earn more than that. And then, where do they spend time? Are they on Instagram? Are they on TikTok? Then, that way, then you build a better profile, a more precise profile to the customer, Yeah.
I really like, if I may say, I like how you mentioned it's important to find out who decides, not just the idea of the company, who, if it's the big company, who decides and how do we find that person, because that's the person who you need to be in front of. I believe that's the sense I get, right?
Exactly.
Okay, good. So 3, how do we convince customers to switch to you? Okay. L, their company aims to persuade potential customers to transition by highlighting these key advantages. So this is, I guess, their uniqueness here. 24/7 customer service support. Allow me not to get into all the details, but they do 24/7 customer service support. Number 2, rapid product and service launch. So you streamline those services to enable swift launches, short time frame and all that. And then 3 is competitive pricing. Let me see where we got this. So competitive pricing, providing highly competitive prices, ensuring exceptional value. Number 4, though, is high quality services with minimum downtime. 5 is seamless migration, so facilitating easy and seamless migration from where you are to where we are. 6, expert trained staff with outside PR, the efficient refund process in the rare event of dissatisfaction. Oh, that's nice. In the rare event of dissatisfaction, they offer quick and hassle-free refunds. And yes, I believe that's it. So yeah, let's just talk about that. What's compelling for you, Fred?
I think he's sought to really stand out and then I think we all know this is very competitive. I believe everyone knows a guy who sells laptops or phones. So in that case, it's what we are calling earlier the red ocean. But by some of these key areas is done, then it makes him, especially for well-structured organizations, it could be where cost is not the only reference point, but also the service and post service support is important. His availability is key. Seems like created a structure. What I would challenge Ted then, though, is start thinking of what could be his blue ocean. This makes him stand out a little more, but it doesn't really create a new opportunity altogether. And obviously, I don't understand business in depth. Sorry, Sam.
No, I'm trying to reflect even as I'm learning as well. So it doesn't quite feel like we're thinking completely differently about the business. We're still thinking candles. Is this a fair thing to say?
Yes, it's like
or
now
is it a bit extreme?
Debatable, but but for the context of this conversation, yes, it could be that I have I have a just different brand of candles. My candles are colored and they have nice scents.
Okay.
But we need to, what could make his business significantly transition to create a blue ocean? And I'll give him some context. Obviously, I don't know his business, I was saying earlier, but where we are going, there's a lot of concern about electronic waste. And if you look at the companies probably serving now, they have a lot of laptops that are almost useless. They, get to a point where, the laptop can be used, so it's thrown in a store. I see it in our organization as well. We have a stockpile of laptops that are pretty much not useful for us at this point. And if you look at Europe, where it is, companies are moved from buying laptops and phones to leasing them or renting them out. So where I come to Ted's company and they say, we have 70 staff, I would like them to be given computers every 2 to 3 years. I'll give you a leasing cost. Now it's Ted's headache to figure out what happens after my lease, 2 to 3 years, whether he sells that down to an individual who then, for me, probably I wanted a high-end spec laptop. In 2 to 3 years, still a very good laptop, can be refurbished and sold back again to the consumer market, or to a smaller business that then is more cost conscious. So yes, that could probably be the first model where we're seeing people are able to lease, and obviously you have to think through the commercials. You have to think about insurance, because then if that laptop is lost, that cost, you have to again, as a customer,
taken care of in the contract.
Exactly. But absolutely, I think that as a business, I would challenge Ted, start thinking of how do I really reposition myself to stay relevant in another 5 years, where we're seeing a different crop of businesses coming in, and smarter customers who want to save cost. Because for me, this is CapEx. It eats into my capital because I have to keep buying laptops. If I'm renting, obviously, then that goes into my tax benefits as well.
Thank you for that. Let's see, number 4, customer buying behavior. We have conducted, just read faster here, we conducted an in-depth analysis of customer purchasing behavior, taking into account various demographic factors. For time, I'm trying to skip through, so bear with me if I don't cut all the detail. But they have observed that customers within the age of 25 to 60 years are more inclined to finalize deals and maintain long-term business relationships. Larger, well-established companies with stable cash flows tend to prioritize continued collaboration when provided with exemplary service. Conversely, smaller or startup businesses may face greater uncertainty and are more prone to discontinuity in their engagements. Let's see. Moreover, it's important to acknowledge that certain ethnic groups may prioritize monetary considerations over service quality. Consequently, when confronted with significant charges, they may, I'm watching the clock, so I'm trying to make sure we get to 8. So if we could just start with the fact that his demography in terms of the group that he's selling to, the age bracket is 25 to 60. What's your comment on that?
I think the could refine it more. I think 25 to 60 is quite broad. I think what we said earlier, who is a decision maker, you can get more specific, probably 35 to 40 or 35 to 45. It's a bit more. 25 to 60 really is the entire workforce. Most of us work between that.
Right? Several generations.
Exactly, right? So, but it looks like he's really done his homework because it's going very even to extent of some ethnic groups. You can tell the man has been in business more than 5 years. But he's cut the
yeah. And I should continue putting the disclaimer for everyone who's watching. Ted wasn't able to be here, so he couldn't speak to the full detail of this. So our speaking of it is not to pretend we know his business fully, but to use it as a template to provide further learning, at least from the immediate comment of Fred as the coach here, so to speak. So advertising techniques, what are they trying? A variety of cost-effective advertising methods, primarily using Google Ads, focusing on targeted searches, website veneers, YouTube in-video displays. This approach is highly effective, leveraging strategic keywords within a certain budget, so a monthly budget of 10,000 Kenya shillings. Additionally, harnessing the potential of Facebook ads, so promoting content on Facebook, Messenger, Instagram platforms, the monthly budget of 5,000 Kenyan shillings. We strategically schedule these ads for Thursday through Sunday, 4 p.m. to 11 p.m. I love it. Capitalizing on peak social media engagement periods, while also recognizing the significance of Twitter as another prominent social media platform. They've had attempts in utilizing TikTok for advertising, but they've been hindered by the absence of ad accounts tailored for Kenya. Let's see. I'm also skipping through, but there's quite a bit of content. So there's videos meticulously crafted using Canva application, ensuring visually compelling and informative content delivery. In addition to our existing strategies, they're using WhatsApp ads and status posts specifically targeted to their contacts, the contacts they already have. Let's see where we are. There's also SMS marketing campaigns, and I see additional advertising channels. So they're using various platforms and employing multifaceted advertising approach. What are your comments? This sounds quite, thorough.
Yeah. Thanks, Sam. I think he's tried multiple channels, which is always encouraged. What I'll be keen though is to understand you've established the channels that gives the most outcomes, the best results from whether it's leads and then subsequently the sales. One way to do that is to do incremental approach where you do one channel and then measure and then establish a baseline. So for instance, if you're doing 10 sales today per month, and then you start doing SMS marketing and that grows to 15 sales, then you can establish these 5 sales to SMS. And then you add Facebook to that. And if the sales do not change, then Facebook does not move the needle for you. Then add Twitter. And if the sales grow to 25, then these 10 additional sales, you assign them to Twitter. And then if you go and do Google search or flyers, and then you keep noticing, you keep marking the change, and then assigning that change to the channel you've done. Avoid doing everything at the same time, because then you never know what is working for you. And then over time, you then get to know what works. That that if I spend 20,000 on Instagram, my sales will go up, because then you've done the science of it. This works for you. If I do LinkedIn, this works, it does this. Then you remove the guesswork. In about 2 to 3 months, we'll have eliminated a lot of guesswork, where you almost to a 90% estimate that if you spend X, it gets you Y. Because I know we can talk about 10K, 5K, 100K, a million, but then the biggest question is, does your marketing give you 10 times. Ideally, should be 10 times the revenue. So you're spending 10K should give you 100K in sales. You're spending 100K should give you $1 million in sales. Because that's compoundedly, you get to spend more in marketing because the sense is if you don't advertise, nobody will buy it, or rather, at least you'll flatline. And marketing should be about 5 to 10% of your marketing budget. 5 to 10% of your revenue. So if you're making $1 million shillings a year, you should spend at least 100K in marketing. And then break that down to every month. If you're making, again, 10 million, then at least put $1 million in marketing. So then because then the question here is, what does the 10K get you, right?
Yeah.
Or does the 5K?
What's the return?
Yeah. What's a quantifiable return? Does he know that? Does he know that actual return that is coming?
Thank you for that. A bit of the 80-20 principle there. Where are you getting the most return? Okay. Digital and social media. So there's Facebook. I won't go into the full detail, but they are working with Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, WhatsApp for direct and also advertising, Instagram, TikTok, Google My Business, targeted advertising, compelling content creation, a whole breakdown, promotional offers, discounts, educational content. What's your comment, Fred?
Very detailed, and I love the depth of it. Again, a lot of the efforts you're doing here will drive your credibility, because not every effort that you're doing on social also will translate to sales. Do not also be too hard on yourself. If you're doing organic content every so often, it keeps your brand present to that audience. They may not be ready to buy because, again, some decisions take longer, but consistency of doing things is important. So do not also look at it very short-term approach that if I do Twitter this month and there's no sale, at least organically, do not cut off that channel. Just consistently continue creating that content. And it will help the brand credibility. But then just measure everything. Try to measure. I like the use of WhatsApp statuses. I think it's underrated. We looked at the numbers last week and 2 weeks ago rather, and we saw where customers are, and we know WhatsApp is number one. We know TikTok is growing very fast. So are you in those spaces? If your customers have your number, they probably check your WhatsApp statuses. So are you consistently putting your products and goods there? So then you're able to quickly, organically, because again, it's a free channel, get some leads out of it.
Let me move quickly to our last two and then maybe invite some questions. If you already have a question, please put it in the chat and we'll take a quick comment. But what I want to remind you is that we're moving really quickly. So don't wait for the last minute to pop your question in the Q&A. So when it comes to building credibility, TED's businesses, they focus on to enhance credibility and demonstrate expertise. They undertake several initiatives. One, there's that knowledge and experience. Our team members undergo regular training and professional development programs to ensure they are equipped with the latest skills and techniques. They do quite a bit of social media presence. They've cultivated a robust presence across all the platforms that we've mentioned before. 3 is customer-centric approach. They put the customer first and prioritize their satisfaction at every touch point. 4 is tracking record highlights. So on social media, regularly showcasing their track record of success with case studies and client testimonials and so on. Yes, that's what they're doing with, and also overall commitment to continuous learning and social media presence and so on.
Yeah. I think nothing really to add there. Pretty straightforward. I love what he's doing to build that credibility.
So it's the coming back to what you were saying earlier. Sorry, can you hear me? Give me a thumbs up, Fred. I don't know if we had a glitch.
No, I lost you. Yeah, I lost you for a sec.
Okay. Now let me skip straight to number 8, and then we get into some questions. Customer loyalty, what are they doing towards that? They are personalizing customer experience, so prioritizing personal interactions with their customers, taking time to understand their needs and preferences and pain points. They have a rewards program. So they have implemented a rewards program that offers exclusive bonuses, discounts, and incentives. And through that program, customers earn points every purchase, and they get future discounts and freebies. or freebies. This encourages repeat purchases, but also incentivizes customers to remain engaged. They will have special offers and promotions. There's a VIP treatment for their top clientele. They have feedback and engagement, actively seeking feedback from their customers. They do community building, facilitating a sense of community among their customers using online forums, social media groups, and offline events. The last one is loyal strategies have been developed through a combination of market research and customer feedback and best practices in loyalty management. So they are studying so they can implement that essentially. What are your comments on customer loyalty?
I think for the spaces playing B2B relationships are ultimately very key. I like that he's spending time giving them the A treatment, especially for your big class A accounts or your top revenue drivers. You have to continuously, I guess, spend time, call them in, check in. Even the gifts we do for customer service week or end of year, they go a long way to building relationships. So it's important to invest another budget for relationships, whether this is, buying lunch for them or breakfast or understanding the businesses, gifting, because we like to be treated well. We like to be heard. We like to be
sending them the 11th year anniversary congratulations.
Yeah. So yeah, 11th year. So actually one of our clients will send us a gift today. So sometimes it goes two-way, right? Say happy congratulations on your anniversary. So cultivating that relationship intentionally goes a long way to ensure that you have loyalty with your customers. At least even if the business is not, I've seen that sometimes clients will even call you when they are about to let you go, or they're telling you we can no longer do your services or afford your services, but they have the courtesy of calling and say, Fred, can we meet for coffee? As opposed to getting an email in the morning and saying we no longer need you.
Hereby notified.
Yeah. Because in B2B, I always say you never lose a client. Because the relationship, you lose a revenue, but you never lose a client, because today Sam is my client. Even if Sam is not able to work together, it could move somewhere else, and some say, I want to work with you guys. Here's an opportunity to do that together. So sometimes when the relationship is coming to an end, I know sometimes we don't bother to invest in that exit process. But it's important to always be there and even treat that relationship, even at that point, as important, because you never know what could happen next, or where that person could go next, and hopefully give you an opportunity to work together.
Yeah, I really like that concept. I think I would go as far as to extend it to you never lose an employee.
That's
you know what
true.
I mean? Because it's a small world. The world is not as big as we think it is. Okay, so give me a general comment on Ted's business, and let's see if we can then take some quick fire. Fred, I know you're not great with quick fire questions. You like to be extremely detailed, but I'm going to push you to see if we can get take 5 minutes or some quick fire questions in the chat. So if you have a question, put it in the chat, and then we can share just like the last few minutes. Fred, give me a general outlook. If you had to look at this business, how would you approach it? What would you tell this person to clarify?
I think he's done a great job of understanding his business, number one. The biggest, I think, challenge I'll throw his way is to seek that blue ocean. IT, and because IT businesses were very big in the 90s and the early 2000s, because access to buying a computer or buying equipment was very centralized. And very few people could then be able to import them or be able to, knowledge was very centralized as well. But then today it's very democratized. We have a lot of people with access to, to the same. He seems to have a good relationship with the big clients, but the reality is SMEs are the drivers of economies. I think we spoke about it last week, 2 weeks ago. He needs to see how to serve that market, even with its own dynamics and instability or cash flow issues. It still is the mover. So the guy buying 1 or 2 laptops, 3 laptops is still relevant. And if we can crack a model where those people can still access the same, I would challenge him that sometimes if he has CoopBank as a client with 2,000 employees, those are roughly 2,000 laptops. I know 5 years, probably every employee at Coop gets a new laptop. where are those laptops going? So maybe even establish a refurbishing model with CoopBank where he takes them back, refurbishes them, sends them back to SMEs at a much more friendly cost price point. That could unlock opportunities. And even for CoopBank, I'm sure they want to support SMEs. So that could be a model where you create a way to serve the market without running away from it.
Okay, very good. Okay, wow, fantastic. Let's see. I think we naturally keep coming back to this idea. I think every time I read this phrase, I want to remember you, Fred, because it's that idea. I like how it evolves in terms of sometimes we are thinking of.
Sam, did your voice disappear? Or is it mine?
We can't hear you, Sam.
Yeah, we can see your thumbs up.
And counting to 10 right now. Can you hear me?
You're back on it.
Oh, sorry, not sure what happened there. But I just keep referring to this idea as you're challenging us to think differently about our businesses and think in terms of how do I use technology to think wider 5 years down the road, things are going to be changing, what's going to be changing, because the details of how we serve the customer may be, can be generated, can be bespoke, but the heart of the business is what are you doing? Could you speak to that? Am I capturing that well? I think that idea keeps coming through.
Sorry, Sam, do you mind just recapping that? I missed bits of it.
No, I'm saying what I keep hearing from your sharing is this idea of we challenging us to use the technology to think differently about our business. 5, 10 years from where we are, is it going to be a question of scented candles and different colors of candles, or are we trying to think light instead of candles? And how do we, maybe if your comment could be, how do we best do that with technology? Because technology is supposed to be the enabler, but sometimes we worship the technology.
Exactly. I think and the beauty of being in Africa is we have set pacers. If you look at the developed market, they've gone through a lot of transitions that we are about to go through or going through now. It's just that the gap is not as long as it used to be. If you look at businesses like IBM in the from 40s to probably the 90s, IBM was selling hardware. Your laptops, just like tech business, servers and so on. If you go to IBM today, they don't sell any hardware. They only sell software, right? So they transitioned completely from hardware. They actually sold the hardware business to Lenovo. So you remember you used to have the ThinkPads. They're called IBM ThinkPads. Nowadays they're called Lenovo. So they sold the hardware business to Lenovo. Today IBM is purely focused on software. So they're building AI systems, they're providing software for banks and other institutions to run their hardware. So that is what we're talking about, just being able to consciously know that your industry is changing. But the beauty is somebody else has actually gone through that problem and they've actually reinvented. So sometimes where we're sitting is you actually don't need to change a lot of things. You just have to listen to what has happened out there. And then even to some extent, just copy it. The Chinese are very good at it. Like somebody has done this, why are we reinventing the wheel? We've seen it work it might work in another market, may not necessarily work here, but it could give you a guidance in terms of how do I reinvent my business to serve the client that we know is, as demanding more for less and more outward facing.
Fred, again, thank you so much for giving us your time. I know today was very detailed, and I think I like how it panned out in terms of just focusing on one and picking your thoughts on each of those aspects. Any parting shots for the 100 and close to 150, 60 entrepreneurs who are in the room?
Thank you, Sam. I think mine is obviously we are happy to celebrate the milestone of 11 years. We've gone through the rough, of course, patches. We've had those moments where we could as well just shut down the shop and go do farming, chicken farming or other things. But what has consistently, I think, kept us alive, and why I'm quite excited about the future of us is value innovation, and just being uncomfortable with change. Do not fight change. I think accept that change is part of our businesses and our lives. And the best way to navigate change is actually to just accept it's going to happen, and then seek to create value and innovate value with the customer at the heart of that innovation. Just put your customer at the heart of that innovation, then you'll create value. Don't put competitor at the heart of innovation. Don't say, I want to be different than X. Say, how can I create a whole new enterprise, a whole new business that doesn't even look at the competition? You beat competition, like M-Pesa to banks. Like, I'm not even opening a new bank. I'm going to be M-Pesa, or I'm going to be Uber without having to think about buying a car. So just reinvent with the customer at the heart of it and continuously seek to be better in what you're doing.
Very wise words. I had to take some notes there. Love that. Don't put your competitor at the heart of your innovation. Keep it customer, and you can change the whole industry. Thank you very much, Fred. Fred's contact is here on the screen. Founder and chief cheerleader, CEO of Belva Digital, and so many others. We look to the years where Belva will be growing and growing and growing to perhaps reach the level of Netflix to 190 plus countries across the world. That would be something, wouldn't it? And I think it's the future. So please congratulate Fred over 11 years, Fred and the whole team. His contact's on the screen if you want to reach out to his office, if you want to schedule a meeting, perhaps, that sort of thing. These claps are for you, Fred.
Oh.
I should have gotten like music. I should have planned better. I should have planned better and gotten like some serious dancing music here, but congratulations, Fred. And for now, we shall allow you to drop off. Looking forward to having you sooner than later again.
Thank you very much. Thank you all. Really appreciate it. Thank you, Peter, for the opportunity as well. Looking forward.
Fantastic. All right. So Fred's contacts on the screen if you want to reach out to his office, if you've loved this. I know many of you have loved this session. Unfortunately, we're running out of time. And all the questions that we wanted to get into came in the last 5 minutes, so we couldn't jump into them. But this session has been recorded, and it's been a very detailed breakdown. And we want to say thank you to Ted as well, who did the research for his company, IL Information and Communications Company. We want to say thank you, and we want to now move to one or two things that we'd like to do. So we need your thoughts on the we want to use a poll on how you enjoyed this session, because that's important to us. Your feedback helps us to provide better sessions in the future. How can we serve you better? These sessions every Thursday, 11 to 12:30. This is about you and your business. How can we serve your business? How can we bring the right people in to speak to the businesses that you're running to help you stretch where you need to stretch and grow where you would like to grow? So please give us your comment about our facilitator today, the level of interaction that we had, how applicable the ideas and the tools are. And as you do that, I will let you know. I know it was in the chat section quite a bit. Many people want to have this recording. We're going to share with you very quickly what the link is. You just need one link, and I'm going to share it with you shortly, just after this. You get that one link, and you can access this video recording and all 60 plus sessions that we've done before here every Thursday from 11 to 12:30, courtesy of COPE in collaboration with AMI. So you will have that shortly. Just bear with me. We'll take the next maybe 2 or 3 minutes, and then we'll be done with our session today. Thank you for those who are already providing feedback with the webinar poll. That's fantastic. Thank you very, very much. I'm just going to ask Fiona if you could kindly queue up the link for the portal. I will show everyone using a short video clip where you can access what the portal looks like, but the link, it's just one link that you need. You don't need to click too many times. One link that takes you straight to the webinar portal. All right. If you haven't responded on the poll, we need your feedback. We need your thoughts. Yes, thank you. That's increasing. So let's give it a few more seconds. If you haven't responded to the webinar poll, there's a poll that is on, and we'd like to know how you enjoyed this session and also how your bank can serve you more. All right. So that's what we're doing right now. And that's almost the last thing that we're going to be doing. All right. Allow me to end the poll here. Okay, I want to end the poll here. Thank you so much for that feedback. Now, let me show you, there's a link in the chat that you're going to be seeing. This is the long route. If you start with Google, you can type into your browser Coop Bank MSME account, or you can type in the portal. You can find that. It will take you immediately to a page. Click on the website, and that's this page that you get to where you can see the webinars. So the MSME portal. If you just click on the webinar portal, it will take you directly to this page where you see all these recordings from the past. And that's where you'll find this one as well. You just have to search for the guest that you would love to see or the topic. All right. So thank you for that. If you would like to reach out to us about these sessions, if you have ideas that we could incorporate into the session, Fiona is the person to reach out to, Fiona Minor, Marketing Project Coordinator, AMI. This is a contact on the screen. And also her email, so you can kindly reach out to us on that. The link is, I guess we'll have to just keep posting the link. Yes, thank you, Fiona. I hope you've all got the link. If you have, give me a thumbs up, because that link is really important. It helps us ensure that you have access to all the materials you need without waiting for someone to send you a link. So give me a thumbs up if you got it. I see a few thumbs up going there. Good. So normally you finish these sessions and you need to wait for someone to send you an email and things like that. We eliminated all that, put it all in one link. Click that link and it takes you directly to a portal where you can just serve yourself. It's an open buffet of great resources for your business. All right. Now, next week, some excitement rolling here. So we've come from how we use technology to build our businesses. How do we use technology to enhance our presence, our growth, how we're thinking about our business. Next week, we're taking it to the next level. So super excited. We're going to be jumping into how do we drive operational excellence. So how do you operate when you talk about supply chain management and logistics? How do you optimize that? When you talk about implementing efficient processes and systems for your operations at your various different sizes, we want to have people here who can speak to that. So whether you're running a small outfit or you're growing and you're feeling like it's getting to a place where I need to get some systems and structures in place, or now incorporating the use of technology. Who has done that before? What does that look like? We're going to have guests that know what they're talking about, much like you've seen how Fred from Belva surely knows what he's talking about when he talks about using digital for your business as an SME. Okay, so that's what we're going to be doing next week, and super excited, looking forward to it. And if you want to reach out to Coop Bank to get some assistance with anything, any query you may have, any challenge you may have, you can talk to us. You can use our contact center numbers. You can use the emails. Also, you can just use the WhatsApp line. So it's a quick response line that you can maximize, and that's on the screen. But other than that, we like to finish our session with a prayer. Okay, so it's exactly 35 minutes past the top of the hour. I want to give opportunity to I see hands up. Let's see. Let me see. Anthony, would you like to say a prayer for us? So you have opportunity to use the mic. Please say the closing prayer and then we'll finish. Anthony Ngula, just checking if that was accidental, or was that you raising your hand, Anthony? Okay, so maybe not. For the sake of our time, let me go ahead and say the prayer and then we will finish. Okay. Steve Kamisi. Okay, go ahead. Steve, your mic is on. Please say the prayer and then we'll finish. Steve, go ahead. Steve, your mic is on, but I can't hear a thing. Allow me to go ahead and pray. Father, we thank you so much for being here today, for the session that we've had. It's been absolutely insightful, and we thank you very much because we've learned quite a bit, and we appreciate you for it. We pray for every person's business here. I pray that you indeed would be with them and give them success in all that they're doing. Help them to realize success with all the ideas, with all the challenge we've got, to think differently about our businesses and to think about the future of our businesses. I pray that you would bless them, bless their families, of course, bless their endeavors, and keep us safe until, of course, we meet next week on Thursday at 11. In Jesus' name we've prayed. Amen. Amen. Please type an amen before you go. Thank you so much, and God bless.